Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing my first official Inktober video, and I have Toothless here again so that my camera can focus on something on top of my light box. Today is day 7 of Inktober and the prompt word is enchanted. I thought of a couple different things that I might be able to do for it. I could do something from Spirited Away maybe, with like the witches and the dragons and whatnot. I also thought of doing Deadpool just because he's kind of enchanted by always healing. That one was a bit questionable, I admit. And then I thought of doing something from fairy tale, magic. I think I really was specifically thinking of the character of the founder of the fairy tale guild, because she's always so ethereal looking, so cute and ethereal. And then I thought of Raven from Teen Titans, and that is what I ultimately decided to go with. And here is my sketch. I wanted to have her doing sort of a power stance and using her powers, and then I liked the idea of the blackness coming off of her to be in the shape of a raven. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I'm going to ink it today with a dip pen. So this is what my dip pen looks like. I had a couple different tips to choose from, and this is the one I liked best last year. I'm not super skilled with these things, but I like the stuff that I made with it last year, so I was hoping to do it some this year too, though it is a bit more time consuming than just using a pen. And all my previous sketches so far have been with a pen from Jazz's box, which I still keep in its little holder. So it is this calligraphy pen, the Furenosuke Tombow calligraphy pen. And then I also used the Tombow dual brush pen thing. So the ink I will be using is this Noodler's ink. I got this whenever I was doing an art project in college, and I remember someone suggesting this type of ink, or I looked at reviews or something and it suggested this type of ink, this brand, and I have no idea if it's actually any good or not. It does its job, makes black on the paper. If any of you guys use this and you know why it's better than other inks, that'd be nice to know. And the paper I will be using is the Canson marker paper. I'm not sure if it's best for inks, but it worked fine last year. So this is my normal setup that I have for my light box. I always have these little pieces of tape on the side so I can tape down the original sketch, and then I can take down the final paper on top of it. So I always have 8 pieces of tape, preferably. So I'm going to try doing this with the light box like I normally do. I will have to turn down the lights a bit, and if the video quality doesn't look like it's going to be that great, I might have to use the light box to sketch it and then go over my sketch lines, which will take more time and I don't want to do. So hopefully this works. When I'm using a dip pen, I always try to go from the top left to the right because I'm right-handed and I don't want my hand to be resting over any parts that have ink already on them, or else it'll smudge it. But whenever you're doing pretty much any ink work, but especially with a dip pen where you have your ink be very wet once it's on the paper, you want to be sure that your hand doesn't touch the paper, which is probably what I find to be one of the hardest things about dip pens, other than the fact that it keeps running out of ink and you have to get more ink every 5 seconds or so. But what I love about the ink pen is how easy it is to get variation in your lines. It's just meant to make tapered lines, and it's great. I love it. But it takes forever to do, which is why I had to speed this video up 2,000%. Normally, whenever I'm doing stuff on a light box, I have to push down in some places to see smaller detail. So I found out pretty quickly when I was doing this that my finger isn't always the best option, since it could hit one of the other spots that I've already put down ink on and smudge the ink. To combat this, I decided to use my other dip pen that I have that's smaller, to use either the back end of it or the tip of it to push down the paper in a more centralized zone. It's always really satisfying doing a long continuous line. I like to add little hatch lines to create shadow and texture in some places. So here's a spot where I made a mistake and touched the lines. Luckily it didn't smudge too much, but it did leave a mark on my finger that I had to be sure to get off so I didn't transfer it somewhere else, which I think I actually accidentally did do. So I would go back in some areas to thicken up the lines, as I normally do. There is a bit of a time skip in some places here because my video stopped recording or I forgot to hit record. Yes, yeah, normal. So I add some little curved hatch lines to give the raven form more of a blob like form. To make it less two-dimensional, just give it a bit more body to it. I decided I was going to make the outfit all black with white highlights, so I usually map out my highlights first and then color in the black around it. It might not be the best way to do it, but it's the easiest way to do it for me, and I was going for easy. Also, I started using my calligraphy pen for this section where I'm coloring it in because it takes forever to color in areas with the dip pen, and dip pens actually scratch the surface of your paper, so if I was to do that, it would really warp the paper where I was coloring it in. But I do love this calligraphy pen from Jazz's box. I've used it for almost all of my Inktober drawings so far. So whenever I started this drawing, I forgot that her powers were pretty much a negative of her hand around the energy balls she creates. So I had to figure out a way to make it a negative of her hand even though I did it as a positive in the first place. And how I went about doing that was I colored in the outside and then I colored in the inside of the hand, leaving a very small white outline. Hopefully that works well enough for you guys and nobody notices that it was actually an accident. I didn't want to color in the raven black, but I didn't want it to be white either, so I used my Spectrum Noir marker, once again from Jazz's box. I'm using these just because they're the closest markers that I have right now out. Also, they're just good. So it started out looking really good, but it did start to smudge the lines. I don't know if it's because of the type of ink that I was using. It's a water-based ink. I don't know if that doesn't mix well with the alcohol pens, but it definitely smudged. It could just be because I didn't let it dry long enough. It's probably because I didn't let it dry long enough. I was in a hurry, as usual. So I tried to keep the marker going in the same direction as the lines so it didn't smudge too badly, or at least it didn't look like it smudged too badly. And it would start picking up the ink on the markers, so every once in a while I would take the marker and rub it off on my hand just to get the ink off of the nib before I started another section. As you can see here, that is what my hand looked like at the end of all this. Alright, I am done. I'm happy with how it came out. It is unfortunate that Noodler's ink is not compatible with alcohol markers. Yeah, it's water-based, so it really should be. It could be this paper it doesn't work well with, so I'd probably try doing it on a different piece of paper next time if I want to do a gradient with alcohol markers. Otherwise, I'd have to do one with the ink and a brush, which I don't like because that always warps the paper. She's super cool looking, and I just really liked my design. So that is Inktober Day 7 finished. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more like it, you can subscribe to my channel because that'd be awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.